Hey everyone, today we're going to be comparing two epic one-bag travel options from Pakt and Peak Design. These are two of the most popular premium travel backpacks on the market, and in my opinion, they're also two of the most unique. Many travel backpacks are starting to check off similar boxes. They have kind of the same aesthetic and layout, which can work well. There's a reason that these layouts are becoming popular. So I appreciate some of the additional features or different decisions that companies like Pakt and Peak Design are making. Both of these have been fantastic to use, but there's definitely some similarities and differences that you want to keep in mind depending on your particular needs. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Before doing so, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the overall aesthetic, the bags have a pretty different style. Pakt has a more minimal, subdued appearance, whereas Peak Design has a really flashy, modern, techie vibe. I really like the look of both of these, and I think which one works better for you is gonna come down to personal preference, of course, but also when I'm traveling, I tend to prefer a bag that's a little bit more subdued. Like Pakt's backpack, I feel like it just helps me blend in a little bit better into a variety of environments, whereas Peak Design's bag looks great. It also just feels and looks a little bit more expensive in my opinion. So depending on where you're traveling, that might be something you'll want to consider, but regardless, I have enjoyed using both of them. And then as far as the materials, each is very, very solidly built. I've had great experiences with both of them. Pakt uses a recycled 500D nylon, which feels very durable. I really like that it's not super rigid, so it kind of molds around the materials that are on the inside. It has really nice YKK zippers, so very premium materials. It feels like it's going to offer a decent amount of weather resistance. It does tend to attract a little bit of lint and hair. It's not horrible. You can kind of clean it off, but something to keep in mind if you're getting the black colorway. And then for the Peak Design bag, you have a recycled 400D nylon shell, and you have a reinforced bottom. I believe this is 900D. So very, very durable as well. Lots of weather resistance on this one. You have the coated zippers here. I don't believe these are YKK. Peak Design uses a different brand of zippers, but they have always worked very well for me. Very, very smooth. They feel like they're going to offer a lot of protection against the elements, and I think that they work great, very reliable. So on the build quality front, really just kind of a toss-up. Again, the main differentiator for me might be the fact that Peak Design's bags does have a much more rigid shape, which makes sense given that this is meant to handle camera gear. Those bags tend to have that fixed shape to be able to handle the dividers and cubes and such that I'll talk about later in the video when we get inside. So it's not going to be able to maybe compress as easily into tighter spaces as the Pakt bag is, which is what I tend to like, but very, very solid on both fronts. And there's not a huge difference in the weight. Both of these are a little bit on the heavy side, just given the size and the number of features that they offer. They come in at over 4 pounds. I believe the Peak Design bag is a little bit heavier at around 4.5, and then Pakt's bag comes in at around 4.1 pounds. I believe that does vary depending on the size of the bag that you get. And then continuing along the outside of the bags, both of these have just a lot of functionality, which is what makes them such versatile travel bags. And so as far as water bottle pockets, Peak Design's bag has two really great external water bottle pockets, very deep. They have a nice amount of elasticity, so they can hold larger water bottles. They can also hold tripods, and then when they're not in use, they just kind of hug the bag nicely. And then on Pakt's end, you do have an external water bottle pocket that has a good amount of capacity. It's pretty tall, it has a nice amount of elasticity, and it works well. It's got a little bungee cord at the top to help secure something a little bit taller. And so it does a good job, but you only have the one, whereas you have one on each side for the Peak Design bag. So a little bit of an edge there if water bottle pockets are important to you. And then they both have a nice set of handles. So Peak Design has handles on each side, on the bottom, and at the top. The top handle has this really nice seat belt like material, so super comfortable. And then the ones on the side are, a little bit less padded, but they blend in nicely into the bag. They're still very functional, they feel durable. So you'll be able to pick this up, move it into an overhead storage compartment, a trunk, carry it like a briefcase, however you want to use it. And then similarly with Pakt, you have really well padded handles at the top. You have the dual handles on the side, which will make sense when we take a look at how you open up the main area of the bag. On the side, they are very well padded, nice. Same at the bottom. So the handles are comfortable all the way around on this one, but you don't have handles on one of the sides, the side with the water bottle pocket, which I think makes sense. And beyond that, both bags also have external attachment points that pair with compression straps that are included with the bag, which is, again, really nice that these things are incorporated, and they just give you a lot of flexibility. So with Peak Design, they have this magnetic pocket at the bottom, which I've never been a huge fan of, just because it feels like the straps could kind of fall out from under here unless they're secure. But it's an interesting kind of model that they have here. And then they have attachment points here at the bottom. They have them along the front, on the side. So you can really configure those straps in a lot of different ways if you want to hold a yoga mat, tripod, jacket, all those types of things. And then with Pakt, you have attachment points on the side, and then they have integrated compression straps, so you can kind of hide them away when you don't want to use them, and then pull them out so you still have the ability to attach tripod, jacket, like I was saying with Peak Design's bag. And you have them on both sides, and you could potentially pair a third-party strap. Across the front, you do have the two loops, but they might not be quite as flexible as the ones that are offered from Peak Design. And I kind of go back and forth on which system I prefer. I like that with Pakt's bag, you don't have to worry about losing them or forgetting to pack them or something, because they're actually integrated into the bag. But it is nice that with Peak Design's bag, you just have more flexibility, and you can fully remove them if you just think that you're not going to use them, don't want to deal with it. So, that's something to keep in mind. But both of them work pretty well. Then on the branding front, Pakt has the logo on the front, which is the white text, so it stands out a little bit more prominently at the front, whereas Peak Design has this really nice kind of leather-like material here with the logo that I feel is a little more subtle. It blends in, it just feels a little bit classier maybe. And then moving into the capacity, both of the bags that I have here at the moment come in at approximately 35 liters as their standard volume. Both of these do have the ability to expand, so they actually get a little bit bigger if you need some extra flexibility or capacity. So you can see with Peak Design, you have the zipper that comes up to give you that space, and then Pakt, with the second edition of their bag, have a similar system. So they have this compartment that expands outwardly to give you some additional space. On Peak Design's site, it says this takes the bag to about 45 liters when it's at its most expanded. And for Pakt, it feels pretty similar. I don't know if it goes all the way to 45, but given the volume on all the pockets, I would say they're probably pretty even as far as how much they expand. And so I think this is a great addition on both of these bags, just to have that extra bit of flexibility when you need it. 35 liters to me is kind of the ideal one bag travel size. It's a size that I've had good luck carrying onto a variety of domestic and international airlines. It'll fit comfortably into pretty much any overhead storage compartment. So, that's really nice. I don't tend to expand them that much, but for domestic travel, or if I'm doing a road trip or something like that, it is good to have it. One bonus with the Peak Design bag is that you also have the ability to compress the bag down, which is a pretty cool, unique feature. So you can take it down to 30. It has this buckle system where you can kind of snap this together, and it'll bring it down into a more compact size. I don't tend to use that quite as much, but it's nice to have that if you need it. But at the 35 liter size, they really do feel pretty similar as far as their footprint. And kind of coming back to what I was saying about the materials, the Peak Design bag just always kind of looks the same whether it's full or it's empty, whereas Pakt's bag just maybe feels a little bit less bulky if it's not as packed out. And then one additional thing to call out on the Pakt side is that the bag is actually offered in two different sizes. The version that I have here, as I mentioned, is the 35 liter version, but it is also offered in a larger 45 liter size. if you need a little bit more capacity. For me, that's just a little bit too big, especially if you start to expand it when it already starts at 45 liters. But for some people that are traveling for a little bit longer, that might be a nice benefit. Taking a look at the harness systems, fairly different approaches here as well. In general, I prefer Pakt's implementation here. I really think that they did a great job improving the harness system from the original version of the bag. I really like the amount of padding that's been included on these straps. It's very robust. It just feels great even when the bag is a little bit more packed out. You have this nice material on the inside to provide some breathability. The straps have a good width to help prevent the bag from digging into your shoulders. When it's a little bit more packed out, you have the load lifters to allow you to pull that weight closer. And they just feel, they give you a lot of mobility. They feel really comfortable. You have the adjustable and removable sternum strap to help distribute the weight. You do also have the ability to release the straps if you want to hide them away, which I don't tend to use that much. I know for some people that is a key feature. And then I really like the padding on the back, similar sort of material to what we see on the straps, very robust, well distributed all throughout. You have, air channels here. I do wish that there was one maybe down the middle to give just a little bit more airflow, but in general, this has felt great. And you do have a waist strap that's included with the bag that's removable. I don't really use this very much. As you can see, it's just a pretty simple strap, more for stability than for actually taking the weight off your shoulders, but that's why I really like that you can actually remove it if you don't want to use it. And then a nice additional bonus with Pakt's bag is that you have this little hidden zippered pouch at the bottom underneath. So this is meant to provide just an easy place to toss in the items that you tend to have in your pockets while you're going through TSA, just to make it very clear where those are and so that they don't get forgotten on one of the trays as you're going through. And then the last thing I'll mention is that you do have a luggage pass-through with these nice magnetic snaps to allow you to rest this on a suitcase if you're traveling with an additional bag. And so just really great job overall, very, very comfortable. On Peak Design's side, I'm always a little bit torn on their harnesses. They're just not quite as comfortable as many of the other travel backpacks that I use, but the ones that have been included here do a pretty good job. They're more robust than what's included on their daily bags. They have a nice material, they feel durable. The padding on it to me just doesn't feel quite as thick and comfy as the one on Pakt's bag. And you have, really interesting implementation on the sternum strap here. So you have these aluminum buckles which provide flexibility, you can remove it. And then Peak Design has this interesting hinge system on their straps, which allows these straps to move pretty easily, and it works very well if you actually want to hide the straps away. They have these magnetic flaps along the side, and then you just slide them over, and it's a very seamless system. So it's a really cool design if you're somebody who does like to tuck the straps away just to make it easier to stow the bag. I think that is a really cool idea. I don't tend to use it as much, but I'm more likely to use this than the one on Pakt's backpack. And then taking a look at the back panel, good amount of padding here that's well distributed. Again, maybe not quite as robust as the one on Pakt's bag, but it gets the job done. And you have luggage pass-through here as well that also doubles as a handle for picking the bag up off the ground. So that works pretty nicely. And another difference with Peak Design's bags is that you have the integrated waist belt, which slides out with a similar mechanism here on the bottom, which I think is really nice if you like to use waist belts. Again, I don't really care for them that much, so I don't use this most of the time. It just stays tucked away. But if you're somebody who likes to have the option to use a waist belt, I think this is one of the better integrated systems that I've seen. I don't feel this poking into my back or anything like that. And then you have a good amount of padding here. This is better integrated than the waist belt on Pakt's side. So it does feel like it can provide some additional support and pull some of that weight off your shoulders. The buckle system here is interesting. They have the G hooks that they're using throughout, so fairly quick and simple to get it on and off. So, pretty cool, innovative idea from Peak Design's side. That's always been something that's kind of stood out about their travel bags for me. Then you have, a little pocket here where they allow you to place some identification. So, I think that both of them are capable harnesses, but again, an edge to Pakt for at least my preferences for carrying the bags, particularly when they're really, really packed out if I'm going to be wearing them for a longer time. Jumping into the organizational options, both of these have a really interesting pocket layout, very, very useful and unique. It's one of the main reasons I was excited to compare these bags, just because they provide a good amount of pocketing, also a lot of access to the bag to be able to reach the things that you might need. This is an area where they stand out from many of the other options on the market. And so starting off with Peak Design, as far as quick access pockets, they have just the one here on the front, which is a nice amount of space for the items that I would typically carry in my pockets going through TSA, for sunglasses, for headphones, my phone. So, just a very simple but useful pocket. And then on Pakt's side, you have a little bit more as far as quick access. You have this pocket on the bottom, which I really like that it has its own sort of independent volume, so you can really take advantage and use this to store maybe some pouches, larger charging bricks. So you have plenty of flexibility there. And then you have the sort of admin pocket, which again, nice amount of volume. You can see how much these come up. So I've actually used this to hold pouches, a jacket, some of the things that just, wouldn't normally fit in some of these front quick access pockets on a lot of travel bags. So very well thought out, nice bright liner to make it easy to see what's on the inside, and a little bit of built-in organization here. You have, a zippered mesh compartment. You have a little slip pocket with a hidden air tag pocket. You have this magnetic slip pocket on the back. It's a little bit wider. And then you have a loop that's going to be a good place for a pen or a stylus, and then a little carabiner for your keys. And so, really nice, easy pockets to get into. And then Peak Design has this secondary large admin area, almost a second clamshell pocket. So this is one of the things I really like about Peak Design's bags. It reminds me almost of the GR2 as far as having almost two kind of primary organizational areas. And so on the lid of this compartment, you have additional zippered pockets. This has this nice, interesting material here that allows you to see into the inside. Good amount of volume on this pocket. You have some internal organization as well, a couple of slip pockets, place for a pen, a stylus, and then you have another zippered pocket at the bottom. And you also have additional pocketing on the other side. So mesh zippered pocket, another simple zipper pocket. So you can use these. They lay flat if you don't want to use them. And then one of the other things that is cool about this area is that it's actually a zipper divider. So you can access the main compartment without having to open the bag all the way up. Or you can just kind of hide this away and use this as one large area if you prefer not to separate the compartments out. So, very cool layout, and I really like the flexibility that this provides. I tend to leave the divider up as I like to have the two separate compartments, but I think it works well either way. And then moving into the main compartments, although the approaches are different, both of these provide a really nice amount of access to the main area in a way that many other travel bags don't always do. So with Peak Design's bag, you have these zippers along the side. So you can actually, access both sides of the bag very easily with these zippers that span the full height of the bag. So if you want to reach in and grab something without actually opening it up all the way, you can do so. This also pairs well with Peak Design's ecosystem of accessories. So they have camera cubes that you can place so that once you open this up, you can easily reach in, grab your gear. So I've always been a fan of this system. And then on Pakt's side, you have these top zippered areas that provide access to the different segments of the bag. So this isn't going to allow you to access the bottom of the compartment quite as easily as Peak Design's system, but if you're traveling and you just want to grab your jacket or your toiletries or some tech from one of these compartments and you know where it is, you can still reach down and grab it very easily. So I think this is still a really nice system for just kind of dividing things up and being able to grab it when you need it. And then as far as opening these up to get full visibility and for when you're packing the bags out, Peak Design has a more kind of traditional clamshell style approach. So it opens up flat, and then you have kind of this bucket of space that you can fill up. Pakt, of course, is well known for having more of this split suitcase style layout. So it's opened up, and you have these two dedicated areas that you can use for packing. So, I think Peak Designs is going to be a little bit more flexible and maybe easier to use for people that are kind of accustomed to packing in the style of bag. Packs takes a little bit of getting used to. Once you do get used to it, or if it matches up well with your style, I can see people really liking it, but it just has more of an opinion on how you should organize your stuff versus Peak Designs, which is just simpler and open. So I go back and forth. Originally, I would have definitely said I prefer the clamshell style layout, but as I've used this layout from Pakt a little bit more, I'm coming around to it just because I do like how it allows you to separate stuff. And so I'll take a closer look at the Pakt bag first because I have it loaded out with my typical travel setup. And so again, you have two sides that offer a good amount of space, and then you have the laptop compartment in the middle. This is another area that I go back and forth on how I feel about it. I get the thought that because it's in the middle, if you have a bunch of clothes on either side, you're actually providing a lot of cushioning if you drop the bag. And then the compartment is well padded. It's a little bit suspended here off the bottom. You have a nice amount of space for 15-inch laptop, and then this material that's included here does feel like it's going to offer a nice amount of protection. But I do worry about the pressure that's placed on the device when both compartments are really full. Can get a little bit difficult to close it up. So that's something that I'm always keeping an eye out, and prevents me from really packing out the segments of the backpack all the way or really overstuffing them. So you just have to think about it a little bit more, but it can work well. And then you have on one side, this is the back compartment, so it shares where the shoulder straps are. Both of these have a pretty simple open layout. They work well with packing cubes. On one side, I have my older Arkido compressible packing cube, as well as my Air Dot kit. And then beyond that, not too much going on here, no compression straps. You do have access to the frame sheet. You have this little Velcro pocket here. And then at the top, this was the access that I was showing earlier. And moving on to the other side, you do have a zippered mesh pocket here, which I don't tend to use very much, especially if I have the laptop compartment here, but it might be a good place for something flatter, like a laundry bag that you're storing. And then this opens up. You have the second divider. I like that these do kind of help compress things down. And on this side, I have my typical Peak Design packing cube setup. So I have the smaller compressible packing cube and the larger one, and those fit in there pretty comfortably. And on the inside here, you can see that, again, not too much going on, but you do have these rows of webbing that are meant to pair with some accessories that Pakt sells. They have a couple of different pouches that you can clip on here, but this will work well with any pouch that has a carabiner clip of some sort. So I don't really use these too much. They just kind of stay out of the way. And here you again have the top zippered access, which works very nicely. And then one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that in addition to the ability to expand, you also have just a separate compartment here on the front of Pakt's bag. So that's kind of like the additional admin pocket that I was talking about with the Peak Design bag, where they have kind of the dual clamshell setup. With Pakt, you do have an additional compartment, which is just larger, open. This is meant to pair with the day bag that Pakt released with the travel bag. They're sold separately, but it's a flatter, packable day bag that tucks into here nicely. But if you don't carry an additional bag, this can just be extra storage space when the bag is expanded out. So I think that this is a very flexible, versatile, useful compartment. I'm a big fan of the idea here, and I do actually typically tend to take a packable backpack with me with a larger travel bag. So absolutely love that. And just a great layout if you can get used to using it. And so coming back around to Peak Design, I didn't have a chance to talk about the laptop sleeve yet. You have it integrated onto the back, so it is part of the main area. And so, this is a pretty nice, simple implementation. You have this Velcro strap to help prevent the device from falling out when you open it all the way up. It's suspended, it's pretty well padded. You have a little divider sleeve here if you want to store a tablet and your laptop. Lots of space, so they do a pretty good job there. And then in this main area, you have, just this large bucket, which is what is a little bit easier in my opinion to pack out. This is the style that I normally gravitate towards, especially when I'm in a rush and I don't want to think about how I'm going to pack too much. It just feels a little bit more straightforward. with 35 liters of space. It's not expanded here. You know, I can easily toss in the packing cube setup that I had. So larger and smaller Peak Design compressible cubes. I can toss in the DOP kit, and I can still also toss in the additional cube from Arkido. So the same layout that I had in the Pakt bag fits comfortably in this bag without having to expand it or anything like that. And then I still have full usage of the other compartment, as well as, you know, the quick access pocket. So lots of space on both of these. That extra packing cube is something that I don't even typically pack. That's more, but because both of these offer that much space, I just kind of wanted to show it. But you can envision replacing that with a packable bag with extra pairs of shoes. And then, yeah, just, you know, both of these will offer more than enough space for what I would need for a couple of weeks of travel. And, you know, just lots of interesting features. Again, they just are two of the more unique bags. As far as the pricing, they're both, you know, premium travel bags in general. They're gonna come in at around $300, I believe, for Peak Design's bag, and pretty close for the Pakt bag. I'll throw the prices up on the screen. Also with Pakt's bag, the pricing is gonna vary a little bit depending on the size that you get. Same with Peak Design's bag. I forgot to mention that earlier, but they do have the smaller 30-liter version of the bag. The layout is fairly different. It just feels like kind of a separate bag, which is why I didn't talk about it too much. But, you know, that is an option that's available. That's a great bag. I've done full reviews for that if you want to check it out. But both of these, definitely premium options. They're gonna be a bit of an investment. You do get a lot of value for the price, in my opinion. You know, they're very rugged bags with a lot of functionality that will hold up against any of the other bags in this category. And if you're looking for a modern travel bag that's gonna provide you some flexibility as far as the capacity, a lot of organization, then both of these are gonna be really great options to take a look at as far as things to kind of distinguish between them. If you want a bag that's going to offer a little bit more of an ecosystem as far as camera gear, or maybe a little bit more padding as far as just the rigidity of the bag, or you want a sleeker style, then Peak Design might be a better option. If you prefer a more subdued look and you can get used to the unique layout of Pakt's main compartment, then this one is gonna have a lot to offer as well. So, you know, I really could go back and forth. I think they both work great. Ultimately, for travel bags, comfort is gonna be a big factor to me, and in that regard, I will pick Pakt. But if that's not as big of a factor, or if you don't mind Peak Design's harness system, then really either one is gonna be a fantastic option to take a look at. And so that's it. Those are some of the similarities and differences between the Pakt and Peak Design travel backpacks. Hopefully this video was helpful, and if you have any questions on anything that I covered in the video or suggestions for similar items that I should check out, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I'll make sure to include links in the description below to the dedicated videos that I've done for each of these bags, as well as to some of the other comparison videos that I've done recently featuring bags from companies like Evergoods, Air, Patagonia, GoRuck. And I'll also link to the roundup video that I did where I talked about my top 10 one-bag travel backpacks that did include these two bags, as well as some of the alternatives that I think would be great to consider. And if you have any suggestions for other comparison videos that you would like to see, definitely let me know about those as well. And as always, I want to thank you for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.